Hello, welcome to episode number 145 of the TEW 2020 Challenge Run. This is going to be Monday Night Raw for week 3 of June 2021, and we are very much on the road to Bad Blood. And without any further ado, let's jump straight into the show.
Too long, the lies and excuses have conquered. It's just a time bomb waiting to go off. So tell me why has it come to this? We live just like we're dead. Afraid of something, afraid of someone. It's time to rise from the ashes. Rise into a new day.
Raw opens with Keith Lee in the ring, and he's talking about how he's a fighting champion, and that's why he accepted Eve last week when she challenged both Daniel Bryan and Apollo Crews to be his challengers at Bad Blood, and he welcomes the triple threat, and he knows he's getting himself into. He could lose that championship without being pinned, he could lose that championship without being submitted, he could lose that championship by Daniel Bryan pinning Apollo, etc. But hey, he wouldn't be the World Heavyweight Champion if it wasn't for taking a few risks. He needs to prove that he belongs at the top, and he'll prove that he belongs at the top better than ever when he takes on two of the best on Raw. That's when Daniel Bryan comes out and he says, Keith, I know Apollo got into this match through merit, and you picked me as your opponent, and I have to thank you for the opportunity, but it may end up being your downfall because I plan on being the WWE Champion again. And then Keith Lee's like, World Heavyweight Champion. He's not actually, it's just I realised I made a mistake, so shush. And then Apollo comes out and he says that he's going to be the World Heavyweight Champion, he's going to do his Nigerian heritage proud. He's already doing them proud as it is, but when his daddy sees the World Heavyweight Championship draped in the green and white, it's going to be a great moment for that country. And then he comes out and says, hey, you've all got tensions, why don't we try settling some of these tonight? And in the main event, Keith Lee, you will team with Daniel Bryan, and you will face Apollo Crews, and another man sniffing around the World Championship, Mr. Money in the Bank, Oney Lorcan, will be his tag team partner. And that's the main event tonight, Keith Lee and Bryan against Apollo and Oney. 78, this is a really fucking good opener. Following on from the face-off they had last week, where Adam Cole told Path of the Dragon to fuck off, basically. We have a tag team match here. And Path of the Dragon being Tozawa and Humberto get the shock win over the Undisputed Era. Humberto rolls up Bobby Fish in 11 minutes of 36. 55 for Humberto, 68 for Tozawa, 68 for Fish, and an 86 Kyle O'Reilly. Jesus fucking Christ, man. When you get your popularity up, you're going to be unstoppable. But yeah, a shock win for Path of the Dragon, and of course Adam Cole's not happy. He gets into the ring. I didn't click the thing. He gets into the ring and he starts trying to take the fight to Tozawa and Humberto. But Luchasaurus is there and he gets in Adam Cole's face and he towers over him, and that's sort of where Adam Cole sort of backs away. Like, nah, I don't want a piece of this big dinosaur, man. Charlie's backstage with Drew. And he's feeling good last week after Tyler Breeze took that franchise challenge, but he's got his mind still set on Lashley at Bad Blood, and he needs to sort of keep the momentum rolling. That's when Tyler Breeze walks in the frame and he says, hey, you know, I did good, I thought I hung really well, and as the overseer of this brand while Eve's away, I want another one of those tonight. You'll be offering, it won't be me again of course, but I want another franchise open for the show, because it will be a big draw seeing the franchise player of Raw in action. And then Sheamus walks in, he's like, you don't have to wait, fella. It won't be an open challenge. I'm accepting it right now. Me and Drew, we've been battering each other for decades now, and what's one more fight, right, fella? And Drew's like, you're goddamn right, fella, let's do it. So Sheamus and Drew later on tonight. Eliza's in the ring, and him and the original Robert Stone brand, but that branch of the A-list, so Sans, Miz Morrison and Frankie Monet. And Elias has written a song about Damian Priest and how the Miz is the best Intercontinental Champion of all time. And Damian Priest interrupts it, calls it shit. And we get Elias and Damian Priest one-on-one right now. 73, 9 minutes and 49 seconds was apparently too long with the psychology of these two, but Damian Priest does get the win with the Reckoning in 9:49. 82 for Priest, 74 for Elias. Not too shabby, actually, considering there was no psychology involved. And I'm using a makeshift mouse, if you can't tell why my clicking is so terrible, because my actual mouse broke, so I'm getting a new one tomorrow, so I'm using a second-hand shitty one for today, so it's going to be annoying. Speaking of music, I guess we're in the musical section of the show. J-Flow perform. They've got a new superfan this week. Natsumi is the superfan in question. And sort of Maki sort of keeps looking at her. She's like, hey, last week we had one of you, we brought a superfan out with us and she cost us the match. So let's try not to do that again. Okay? And Natsumi, of course, agrees. And she's going to stay in the corner of, I believe, Tam is going to wrestle Nikki Cross. And it doesn't happen again. Tam gets the win in 8:17 with a spin kick. So Tam gets a 57, as does Nikki Cross. But there's still a tag team feud is heating up. Not to mention Santana Garrett and Bayley over on the Blue brand. Also looking in line for a shot of these titles. This tag division. There's more tag team there's more people right now currently sniffing the belts on my save than there is in the entire division in real life, so make of that what you will. Backstage, Vega Mafia are in an argument again, and Zelina's sort of holding her head in her hands because Scott lost Finn Balor last week, and Finn Balor walks in and he's like, you know, fella, no, that's the wrong guy, wrong Irishman. You know, it's not that Scott's the weak link here, it's just that I'm on top of my game and the business is watching me, I'm the prince. And if you don't believe me, Santosh, you can get into the ring with me as well and you can find out the same way that Swerve did. And he's like, okay, bet. So basically, yeah, Finn Balor and Santos Escobar later on tonight. We then get a quick recap segment. Basically, it's called The History of Buddy Murphy and Aleister Black. Because last week, Aleister Black brought up their history as to why he was taken opposing Buddy Murphy, and of course Alexa's going to be involved because her history is also tied to Buddy Murphy as well. But it's going to be the whole thing, Murphy and Black having the feud on the main roster, fighting each other. Then when he was Seth Rollins' disciple, I'm going to say that was in real life, but that did also happen in my game. There was a little feud between Aleister Black and Seth Rollins, so they do have that to fall back on. And now here we are today. Black looks to purge Buddy Murphy of his sins and get the revenge for everything that he wronged him for. What I think is funny is that I sort of went this way with Murphy to start a sort of thing where Aleister Black was going to purge everybody, like people that he had issues with from the past. But then I see in real life on the Twitch stream, Aleister actually pitched something like that in real life where he was going to feud with like Bray Wyatt and Vince. So I think that's pretty funny. He also had the same idea with the character as I did. And yeah, maybe I'll actually let him have the chance to show it off instead of saying I'm going to and then bring him back one week and then getting rid of him. 87, Jesus fucking Christ. These fellas do have a brawl. Drew McIntyre wins it in 13:45 with a Claymore. 90 for Drew, 86 for Sheamus. Yep. Not even a storyline attachment to this. If there was a hot story in this would have been like the greatest match ever. Maybe I should run it back next week. No, Connell, don't do that. You don't want to get into the habit of booking rematches on Raw week after week after week, because that's what makes television shows shit. That and having spooky puppets main event shows. One or the other. Both. And then on the Titantron pops up Lashley and MVP, and he says, congrats Drew, while you're in that ring slaving away and tiring yourself out ahead of Bad Blood. The Almighty's not stressed. He's not going to get in the ring until the pay-per-view because he knows he's got what it takes to beat you, Drew McIntyre. So you're the one who needs to prepare. Lashley's already fully prepared because he is the baddest man on Raw. And he's going to take that spot as the franchise champion because he's earned it. And Drew McIntyre, you're sort of biding your time with it until Lashley can claim what is his. and that will happen at the pay-per-view. And be careful what you wish for, Drew, because Lashley's coming, and he's going to deliver the hurt to you, because business is booming. $99 rated segment here. It's an edition of, what's it called? Is it the Cutting Edge Peep Show that they did when they were both together? And I think it's actually funny because I think there was one of these with the New Day on like a Fastlane pay-per-view like 5 years ago, and we're doing it now 5 years later, but this time the roles are different because it's not two retired wrestlers hosting a talk show on a pay-per-view. It's the Raw Tag Team Champions talking to their challengers, and then they're like, hey, a lot has changed in the last 5 years. First of all, how's E? And they're, oh, he's doing great. He didn't quite get the chance to become the WWE champion, but he know his time will come. As for us, we're going to become the 11-time record-setting tag team champions, and we beat you at Bad Blood because you're still booty. You've always been booty, and this little nostalgia trip, you may have been the greatest tag team of your era, but it's done. You're looking at the greatest tag team of all time. And Edge and Christian are like, well, obviously we have a lot of challenges. We know the Undisputed Era are still here. They're still lurking, and we've not taken our eyes off them, but we have got our eyes on you, Kofi. And me and Christian, we've both faced Kofi before, so we know we can beat you. And then Woods is like, well, neither of you have wrestled me. In fact, why don't we do that next week? I would face you, Edge. First time ever, Xavier Woods and Edge next week. And it's like, okay, I'm game. So that's a big time, I'm assuming, main event for next week's episode of Raw. Edge versus Xavier Woods. Actually, no, I don't think it will be the main event, because I know I've got another match planned that probably will be the main event. But Edge and Woods, first time ever, happening next week. 38. Raquel has a quick match with Julia Hart, who I've imported into the mod. And this just is not the finish that I writ. I definitely set this to be a draw. Well, Raquel's kicking Julia's ass, and then Charlotte runs in and beats them both up. And then she grabs a microphone and she's like, how many times have I got to say this to you, Eve? Like, Raquel, you've given her all these opportunities, and I beat her last week, so why is she booked and I'm not? This is disrespectful. You've got the greatest women's wrestler of all time on your roster, and you're not even booking her. And the referee, of course, will try to get Charlotte out of the ring. Charlotte boots him to the floor. She's like, no, I'm not leaving my ring until I get my match. I want a match right now on this show. You're not going to get away with not booking me. I'm booking these women. And Eve comes out, she's like, Charlotte, we can discuss this in the back. Get out of the ring. And Charlotte's like, no. I'm tired of this disrespect. First of all, you tried to not give me the championship opportunity at Backlash. Then at Money in the Bank, when I was beaten unfairly because I hurt my knee, the match should have been ended. And the match continued. And that was under your watch. And now the constant disrespect. I've got to go out here and make stuff for myself. I'm Charlotte goddamn Flair. Woo. And Eve's like, you need to calm down. And then a bunch of my referees come in. Charlotte attacks them all as well. And she's like, I hate to do this, Charlotte, but you can't be laying your hands on the officials. As of right now, as of this moment right now, you're suspended indefinitely for, we'll say 30 days, but it will actually be 28, so a month in game. So for July week 3. And Charlotte's like, oh, you did not just do that. And then security comes to escort her away, and then Charlotte, when they like put her hands behind her back and take her up the ramp because she's getting suspended, and then she spits in Eve's face as she gets on top of the ramp, kicks her down on the floor, and leaves to go and serve her suspension because she's been a naughty girl. This is a good way to sort of excuse putting Charlotte because she's got nothing to do really right now, so she's been feuding with the authority for a little while, may as well have her flip out and get suspended. I know they did it in real life and then took it away a week later, but no, the long-term story for Charlotte requires her to serve this suspension, so we won't be seeing the Queen on Raw for 4 weeks. And fucking, this is going to be the best episode of Raw of all time. In 86, Finn Balor defeats Santos Escobar in 12:35 with a double knee gutbuster. will say the coup de grace. An 80 for Balor and a 73 for Escobar. And Finn Balor has slotted back on this roster like a glove. After the match, Swerve sort of laughs at Santos losing, and he's like, "Oh, do you want to fight? Do you want to fight?" And then tensions, they get in each other's faces, and Zelina's like, "Enough. This isn't happening. I'm tired of this. We are a group. We are a family. No more. You two have got issues you want to settle? Fine. Next week, you can face each other one-on-one. And after that, the winner wins, the loser loses. I want you to shake hands. And you can put this little petty squabble behind you, because I'm tired of having to deal with this. Me and Andrade just want to sort of get him to the World Championship. But we've got a part with you two fighting, so we either get on board or get off. And it's up to you. But next week, you two can face each other. Get your frustrations out in that match." 72, Charlie's with Rhea Ripley in the interview area, and Rhea's talking about how she returned last week to take out Lacey Evans because Lacey took her out in that Money in the Bank qualifier, and she says, Lacey ran away, and I get it. I'd run away from me too, especially you're pissed off Rhea Ripley, who's just come back from injury looking for revenge from being screwed out of a chance to win the Money in the Bank. But Lacey can't hide forever, and it's bad blood. It'll be me and her one-on-one, and she's going to see why they call me the Nightmare, and she's going to witness my brutality, etc, etc. Just a funny little backstage skit of the stock exchange flexing their money, trying to buy stuff, and Ricochet's there, and they're like, "Hey Ricochet, how much for the necklace?" or something like that. And like, "Oh no, this isn't for sale." I'm like, no, I can get it off you. Everyone's got a price, as the $1 Million Man used to say. How much is it going for? And then Bronson Reed walks in and he's like, "You said nothing. You said not for sale, now fuck off." And then they sort of like bump fists, like, "You're my friend. Thanks for getting rid of these pests." Just a funny little backstage segment. Might end up leading to a tag match next week if I've got time. Might end up leading to nothing, but at least they're on the show. 75 tag match. Kyrie and Io beat the Iconics in 7:42. Kyrie pins Billy with an insane elbow. 81 for Rio, 62 for Kyrie, 55 for Peyton, and a 53 for Billy. Then after the match, Kyrie takes the microphone. She says, "Io, your title reign. 6 months of this. You've beaten pretty much everybody there is to beat here on Raw. You've beaten Charlotte, you've beaten Liv, you've beaten Tony, you've beaten Sonya, Asuka. But you've never beaten me one-on-one. And I just proved that I deserve a title shot. I got the win here. And I beat Charlotte a couple of weeks ago. So, from one best friend to another, since you seem to have no other opponents, since you just beat Lacey Evans, me and you at Bad Blood, one-on-one for the Raw Women's title." And then he was like, "Kyrie-san, it's on. I don't mind. I would love to. I would be an honor to defend my championship against my best friend at Bad Blood." So we're looking at the Raw Women's title match for the pay-per-view. Io defends against Kyrie. Backstage interaction. Apollo is with Oney Lorcan. He says, I'm the challenger here. You've just got a poxy briefcase that makes you think that you're next in line for the World Heavyweight Championship, but I actually am. So, as long as you've listened to me out there, it'll all be alright." And then Oney's like, "Excuse me, I'm going to go out there and kick some ass and prove to the world that I do belong in the world title scene, throw him up. And if you get in my way, I'll kick your ass too." And he storms out with his finger pointing high into the sky. And Apollo just shakes his head.
Really glad that you're our friend, and this is a friendship that'll never ever end.
Firefly Funhouse is back. And Bray Wyatt's like, "Yowie wowie, it's been a long time, friends, but we're here to deliver you your weekly entertainment." You see, Aleister Black, he's made a target out of Buddy Murphy for things Murphy did to him in the past. And Aleister Black's apparently out for revenge against everyone who's wronged him. And he sort of looks over at Susie. He's like, But we're having so much fun here. Surely Alistair can understand that. And surely if Alistair has anything that he wants to say to him, he'll know better of it, because he came to the Funhouse at WrestleMania and he took Alistair's friend and put him down, so it'll be within Alistair's best interests to stay away. Let me in. 82. Daniel Bryan and Keith Lee, the opposite of the earlier promo between Oney and Apollo. They're getting along. They're devising a strategy. But they may be partners tonight, but they're going to be opponents next Sunday at Backlash. Not Backlash, Bad Blood. Before the main event, there'll be Get Raw Talk advertised. Daniel Bryan's going to be on. The Miz and Morrison are going to be on, as is Zelina Vega. 85 rated main event. This may well be the best Raw of all time. Because we had Sheamus and Drew on 87. I believe Balor and Escobar was at an 85 that got, and then 85 here. Bryan and Keith do win. When Apollo I didn't put it in here, but Apollo walks out on Oney, and Oney gets pinned with a Spirit Bomb in 1851. 87 for Keith Lee, 91 for Daniel Bryan, 76 for Oney Lorcan, and an 82 for Apollo Crews. And the show goes off the air with Daniel Bryan, like the referee brings the world title into the ring, and Bryan takes it and he goes to hand it to Keith, but he sort of looks at it himself. And then Keith's like, come on, hand me my belt. I didn't put a segment in for this, that's why I'm describing it now. He's like, hand me the belt, and then Bryan looks at the belt, and then he looks into the crowd, they're all going, yes, 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 yes. And then he just puts the belt on Keith's shoulder, gives it a pat, and then gives one solitary yes as he leaves to end the show. Miz and Morrison, they're cutting a promo. They say, well, Elias was right. Damian Priest does suck. And that song was a masterpiece. It's not quite Hey Hey Ho Ho, but it's still great. And we've got a proposition for Damian Priest. If he could beat me, and he can beat John, what's next? Can he beat me and John in the same time, in the same match? And then Charlie's like, what are you proposing? He's like, Priest doesn't have a challenger for Bad Blood. What do we say? If it works for Keith Lee, and we all know you're friends with Keith Lee, so surely if he can have the fight in cojones to defend his title in a triple threat match, surely Damian Priest can too, against both The Miz and John Morrison. We'll have to wait and see what he says to that one, John, hey? Zelina, again, just reiterating that the Vega Mafia is going to be fine as a group, and that everybody sort of goes through fights. All friends fight, all partners fight. But next week, once Suarez and Escobar fight each other and they get their frustrations out, they're going to shake hands, and this whole Vega Mafia thing will be stronger than ever, because what doesn't kill you makes you stronger and all that. Then Daniel Bryan, talking about how he's going to be the World Heavyweight Champion, and how he has all the respect in the world for Keith Lee. Him and Keith Lee had a great time tag teaming tonight. But make no mistake about it, Bryan made his intentions very clear. And that championship, he held that once before. Technically twice. But he wants it again. And last time Daniel Bryan was in a triple threat match where that title was on the line, no one thought he was going to win. No one thought he was the underdog. And that night's now gone down in history. They call it the Miracle on Bourbon Street. And maybe at Bad Blood, the miracle comes back around. 89, yep, that probably is the best Raw we've ever done. And very well deserved. In 87 and 86, all the best rated segments I can see on the screen are matches, which is fucking mind-blowing. What matters more than the 89 is what you thought of the show. Let me know what you thought in the comments below, and I'll see you next time for SmackDown. See you then.